We've talked a lot about how to set up OBS. You can switch your scenes. I've told you everything I can explain about bit rates, and I hope you did understand it. Now it's time to go online. How do we do that? Well, let's check it out in this video. The magic in OBS is, of course, once again under the Settings tab in the Stream section. Here you can select a service at the top. Hopefully you want to stream to one of the top 5. If not, you can also choose the Show All button and see a huge list of something that most of which I can guarantee you've never heard of. So it's up to you. You can pick the one that you like. Let's stick with Twitch as this example. And the easiest way to get going here is to connect your account. That means you let OBS log into your provider's account. In this case, Twitch. Could also be Mixer, could also be Restream. Those three work particularly well with this setting. Or you can use a stream key. And that's a really long cryptic thing that you can put in here with which anyone with that stream key and the streaming URL will be able to stream to your channel. So be extremely careful who you give that to. Hopefully nobody, because anyone without any protection, without any additional protection, would be able to stream with that stream key to your channel. You can reset that as well, so not all is lost if you should have accidentally given that out. But it's cumbersome to do this. So if you stream to the services that support the account connection feature, I would strongly recommend you do that. If you stream to YouTube, sadly, they do not support that. You cannot log in to YouTube from OBS, but they give you a handy link here. So if you follow that, a web browser opens up, and after a few seconds, at the very bottom of the screen, you see your encoder setup. Now, YouTube are notorious for designing bad interfaces, and Studio Forever Beta currently doesn't have an option to let you access the stream key at the time I'm recording this video. So this link will get you to the classic live dashboard. This may have changed by the time you're watching this video, but hopefully OBS will be clever enough to update this. Reveal the stream key here, then copy whatever it says in this field, and then go back to OBS and paste that link in here. Provided you've already got your output settings and your video settings correct, all you need to then do is hit the Start Streaming button and you'll be live. What an exciting thought. If you're streaming to YouTube, I would recommend that you do the first few streams unlisted and just get comfortable with the system. Twitch and Mixer don't have that option. You'll be live no matter what happens. But Twitch has a cool option I just wanted to bring to your attention, and that is kind of a bandwidth test option. Let's go log into Twitch here quickly, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me go and connect my account. They might send you a little access code here to verify your authenticity. And that's all I need to do for Twitch and for Mixer. There's this little tick box here which says enable bandwidth test mode. And when I click that and hit OK, then I could click start streaming, but I'll get this little info box here which says you have OBS configured in bandwidth test mode. And what this means is literally that you'll send out data to Twitch, but it won't go live on your channel. You can continue and OBS will stream, and you'll see all the usual options here at the bottom, which I'm going to have a look at in a moment. And nothing will appear on your channel, and this is literally so that you can test, is the data rate that I'm sending out actually arriving at Twitch's end, and how does my computer cope during such a period. So let's have a look at this. At the bottom right here, I can see that my data rate varies. It kind of goes up and down, but in median, it stays at what I had already set it. It also tells me the frames per second. That's the amount of images I can send out in a series. And it also tells me my CPU load during this time. Let's just say it's just under 20% here. It shows me that I'm currently not recording. I am live for about a minute now, and I've had no dropped frames. So this tells me that both my computer as well as my internet connection hold up well. This being green, means I'm good. This going into yellow means something is struggling. Could either be the amount of data I'm sending over my connection, or it could be my computer not being able to cope with the amount of data I'm trying to transcode. Usually this going into the yellow and red will also go hand in hand with a message popping up saying encoder overload, and it'll also tell us that there's some dropped frames involved. That's usually what happens when OBS can't send out the amount of frames I would like it to send out. It will start dropping them to try and catch up with more or less a live signal. So everything is good here. I just wanted to demonstrate what happens between the CPU and GPU encoding, and also try and trigger this to go into the red so that you can see that as an option. So as I said, CPU value is about 18-19%. Let me go stop the stream. You'll always have to stop the stream if you want to change some of the settings. And I head over into my output setting and have a look at the encoder. It's set to software, and it was reflected in the fact that my CPU was working rather harsh. If I'm looking at it right now, when it sets an idle and not transcoding a video signal, it's going to about 6.5%. Watch what happens if I switch my encoder from x264 software into hardware. This will now use my NVIDIA graphics card for that. Hit apply and OK. OK is probably fine. We're still in bandwidth test mode, so it doesn't really matter what I do here. Let me start streaming again and see what happens next. It looks like my stream is still stable. Data rate is the same. Image quality hopefully is the same. But my CPU usage has gone down dramatically. And that's because I'm no longer using the CPU to create the video signal in the first place. I'm using my GPU to do that. So that's significantly lower in regards to system overhead. Again, it really depends on what I'm doing with my system at this time. Right now, I don't really have a game running. This is just a video file that's going out. But nevertheless, this is an improvement. Let me show you what happens if I try to put too much data through my system. I'm just going to do that by applying a data rate that is way too high for anything to come out here. Let me try 50,000 kilobits a second. For that, I actually need to switch to the advanced options, because no matter what I type in here, if I go at 50,000, it won't actually let me go any higher than 6,000, because there's kind of a hard cap in there in the simple settings. That's just for protection, because I don't really want to stream at 50,000. I just want to show you what happens when OBS says, hey, I can't really do this anymore. Let's go to advanced. Let me switch my encoder to the hardware version here. And I'm going to untick this box which says enforce streaming service encoder settings. So in my case on Twitch, that would have been 6,000 kilobits a second. I'm going to go and try 25,000. That should be too high for my internet connection. And let's just see for a laugh what happens. You can see that my system is trying to do it, but it's unsuccessful. So it goes into the red, and OBS is now saying that it's dropping a few frames. And I don't see the message encoder overload. So that tells me that my system is actually capable of handling that data rate, but my internet connection isn't capable of sustaining that much. So it just about tries and it struggles, and the more it goes in the red, that'll correlate with OBS dropping frames. So if you ever see this, then that means your internet connection isn't fast enough to put through what you're asking it to do. If you also see the message encoder overload here, that usually means that your computer is working way too hard to sustain what you're asking it to do in regards to the encoding process right now. I hope this was helpful to get you online in the ballpark. There's a lot of other things to talk about, such as setting your stream title and the actual application that you're streaming, and also sending out live notifications and all that. We can make use of some additional panels that come up in OBS. Perhaps we'll talk about that in the next episode.